Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Monica Powell. I'm the Senior Associate Dean and Graduate Dean here at the Jindal School, and I would like to welcome all of our deferred students who decided to wait and join us this spring. We are so excited that you've joined this webinar. We have a lot to do in this short amount of time. Number one, we want to introduce you to your program directors so you have a clue who it is that's leading your academic journey here. We're also going to introduce you to the course modalities that are available in the spring so that you understand the differences between the types of courses that you can register for. And then, of course, we're going to talk about registration. Sometimes that can be a little bit foreign if you haven't been in school for a while. So without further ado, let's pass it off and let's introduce you to the program directors for the graduate programs here at the Jindal School. So let's talk about the course modality options that you have for your spring 2021 course schedule. So for all of you that deferred your enrollment, these options are going to be brand new to you. You've probably never heard of universities offering this many options for a student. But if you look at the chart that's on screen, you're going to see the options across the top. Those are the category labels on the top of each column. So as a student, when you are looking at the course schedule and course lookup to decide what you want to take, you're going to be able to see which of the 5 course modalities a particular course is being offered in. So let's go over what those 5 modalities are. So the first one is traditional face-to-face. That means you're choosing to come be in class, on campus, with a faculty member in a socially distant classroom. So the faculty member will have on a face mask, you'll have on a face mask, you'll be 6 feet from the people that are in the classroom with you. So that's traditional face-to-face. The second option that students have is something that we call in the academic world hybrid learning, or sometimes it's referred to as blended. And what that means is that you rotate between being face-to-face in the classroom and having your classes online. So you might have 1 week that you're face-to-face in the room, and the next week class is going to be streamed to you and the professor will be in their office. So that's a little bit of a different version of face-to-face. The third face-to-face option is something that we call high flex or flexible. And what this means is that the class is broken up into groups of students who rotate in to be in the classroom, and then the rest of the time they're not in the classroom. So you might be divided in half and come in every other class session. You might be divided into thirds and come in every third class session. So basically the first 3 columns represent face-to-face options for students. So if you are a student that will require a face-to-face class, maybe for immigration purposes, then you will want to take classes that have one of these 3 course modalities. So what's the fourth one? The fourth one is what we call remote modality. And what that means is that your class, if it's scheduled on Thursday at 1 o'clock, that class is taking place Thursday at 1 o'clock, but your faculty member is teaching it remotely. They might be in their home office, they might be in their campus office, they could be anywhere delivering that instruction to you, but that class is taking place at the regularly scheduled class time. The last modality is fully online. This means that your course has a section number that includes a W. So you want to know that that particular online option is fully online, always online, and totally asynchronous, meaning that that class is not happening at any particular scheduled time. Now, there's something for all of you to keep in mind as deferred students. When you go to look at these options, even if you choose a face-to-face, or you choose a hybrid, or you choose a high flex, or you choose a remote, any of those first 4 columns on the chart on the screen, you could choose to attend any of those classes asynchronously. So let's say, for example, you suddenly have a situation where you're caring for a child that has COVID or an elderly parent that has COVID, and you were signed up for a face-to-face class. You could choose to attend that class asynchronously. You can attend any of the course modalities asynchronously. You just need to make sure that you are in touch with your faculty member with regard to attending asynchronously. All of those courses will be streamed, so if you're not in the classroom, you can get them live, but they will be recorded so that you can get them at a time that is more convenient depending upon what's going on in your life. So again, let's review. There are 5 different course modalities. 3 of them are face-to-face. That's traditional, hybrid, or high flex. Remote is happening where the faculty member is teaching remotely to wherever you are, and then online is fully online and always asynchronous. Now, is this simple? No. Is it complicated? Yes. Are you going to have a lot of questions about it? Yes. And we are going to address all of the questions that you have in this webinar. And we're going to encourage you to put those questions in the chat so that myself and Corina Cantua can really answer those questions. We don't want there to be any confusion for any of our students that are coming to campus or participating in learning for the first time. We want it to be really clear so that you kind of know what you're signing up for. So how do you do that? We're going to move on to the next part that's really hosted by Corina Cantua, and she's going to go over, how does course registration work? Where do you find information about course descriptions? How can you identify whether a class is one of these 5 modalities? How will you know that when you're signing up? So let's move on to the next section and bring Corina on board to address those registration questions.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. Welcome, everyone. I'm happy that you're able to join us today. I want to take a little bit of time to provide information and reminders about what you need to keep in mind each semester as you prepare for registration. My number one recommendation for a successful registration is preparation. So we want to make sure that we get started with that today. Now, the first item that we want to cover is the academic calendar. So this is available to you every semester, and it outlines important deadlines that you have to keep in mind, including the window of registration, last day to add coursework, the first and last days of class, as well as detailed payment information on page 2. And on this slide, page 2 is actually on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, it does not display the complete calendar, so make sure that you go on the UTD page and get a copy. Go ahead and print it out. Add these dates to your own personal calendar on your phone, and maybe even set some reminders for yourself ahead of these deadlines so that they don't get past you. Everything kind of about registration revolves around the academic calendar, so it's very important that you have a copy and that you are aware of the deadlines that are coming up. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is your coursework, right? In order to start registering, you have to figure out what courses you're going to add for that semester. You decide how many courses you want to take, then you have to figure out which ones they will be. So for that, you have to be available of your degree requirements. I always like to remind students that the degree requirements come from the graduate catalog, which you can access via the link on this slide. It's a pretty short link. It's catalog.utdallas.edu. Please take some time to look through it if you haven't already. Keep it handy as a resource. You don't have to memorize it, but do get comfortable with the information in it, especially with the information regarding the courses that you need to be able to earn your degree. Now, because we're talking about the catalog, I always want to also mention the required GPA. To be able to continue in the program, you have to keep a minimum GPA in your of 3.0 in your degree program, your core, and your overall. So that you have to be mindful of doing well in your classes and keeping an eye on that GPA, because if it does fall below that 3.0, it may ultimately mean that you're not able to continue in the program and you may not be able to earn your degree. Now, getting back to how you choose your courses, another item that you can find useful in determining what classes you need is a tool that we prepare in our office and that we call the Degree Plan Worksheet. We take the information from the catalog regarding the courses that you need for your degree and we place them in which I think is a very easy to read PDF spreadsheet that then helps you kind of figure out what courses you've already satisfied and what courses you still need to complete, so that also kind of gives you an indication of what courses you need to make sure that you're enrolling in the upcoming semester. The last item I want to mention is that your program director and their team, they also put a lot of information to get together that they either email out to you or that they present at events and webinars. And it includes details on their recommendation on courses. So please take advantage of that type of information. The program director, the faculty that they work with, they're the experts in the field that you're studying in. And so their insight is so useful in helping you make the most of your degree. So be mindful of the information that they provide as well. So now, when it comes to registration, your registration is actually going to happen within the Orion Student Center. So we definitely want to go ahead and take a look at that. As you know, you log into the Orion Student Center via Galaxy using your NetID and password. The main UTD page will contain the link. So utdallas.edu, at the very top of the page, you will see the link to Galaxy, which then gives you Orion Student Center. I did want to remind you that if you ever have any logging issues because of your NetID or password or just something doesn't work, you can always reach out to the Computer Help Desk, also known as the OIT Help Desk. They'll be the ones to kind of help you troubleshoot. I put the link on the slide, but you don't necessarily have to remember it. Whenever you go to the page to log in, there will always be right below it, as it shows on the bottom of this slide, is a link where you can click and get access to the help desk. So contact the help desk, it's going to be accessible to you right there. So now once you go into the Orion Student Center, you will see these tiles, right? There's a lot of information, even beyond what we're going to cover about registration, that you would have accessible within the Orion Student Center. Now, Manage My Classes is the main tile that we use, where you're going to find a lot of the information that you need for registration. But before we jump and look at what the content of Manage My Classes, I actually want to look at a tile that's labeled Tasks. So to stay connected with you and to keep you informed on required tasks that you have to complete, we utilize to-do lists and holds, which are the items that you can essentially find within this tile. Holds are going to be placed in your account if there are any actions that you have to take before being allowed to move forward in your program. So this is a very important part in preparation for registration. You have to make sure that you take a look at this tasks tile and then take care of any pending items, clear any holds, so that once you start registering, this is not something that holds you back. So take care of it ahead of time so that you're ready to go when the time for registration begins. The next one is, the next thing I want to cover is the Manage My Classes tile. So as you can see, there's a lot of information on this tile that contains to registration, from searching for classes, actually adding a class, dropping a class. The items towards the bottom of the list may not be items specifically related to registering, but they're also informational once you're enrolled, right? What's my exam schedule? Where can I get my books? But for right now, what I wanted to point out is in the middle of those bullet points on the slide, you will see something called enrollment appointment, right? So if you go to this tile, this is where you can also view your enrollment appointment. I want to remind you that even though it's called enrollment appointment, it actually isn't an appointment. This is actually just a date and time when you can actually start registering in your coursework. And sometimes to help clarify that, we refer to it as an enrollment date. So as soon as that date and day and time hits or starts, you are able to then log into the system and start adding courses to your schedule. Of course, you do not wait until that day and time to start planning for it. So even though your day and time is not until a few weeks from now, you can start today, start planning once the schedule goes live, start planning what courses you want to take, put them in your shopping cart, get it ready to go. So then as soon as the your enrollment day and time hits, all you have to do is just say, finish enrolling. That's going to make it easier and more likely that you get more of the type of schedule that you want to get instead of starting to plan right when your enrollment day and time hits. All right, so my final thoughts on registration specifically, and also this is also something that's going to help you just being a student at UTD, is just to be aware that all of the communication with UTD departments has to be through UTD email. So please make sure that it is up and running, that you can log in and check your email, and then make sure to work with a computer help desk if it's not working, and make sure that you're checking it on a regular basis, because not only is it going to be a tool for you to reach out to us, but it's also an important tool for us to reach out to you. Sometimes we need to give you information, ask a question, be proactive about something and that we're emailing you about. So it's good that you check it on a regular basis and that you keep a communication going with us through your UTD email. And then I know that as a UTD student, you know that you receive two IDs, right? One's called the UTD ID, which is the one that starts with 20 and just has numbers. And then the other one's called the Net ID, which is essentially your initials followed by some numbers. Now, there's a difference in how you use these. Whenever you communicate with us via email for assistance with registration, for example, don't use the UTD ID. So keep the UTD ID to yourself. Keep it protected. Don't share it. To kind of treat it a little bit like your social security number. It is an identification number that we are aware of, but it's not something that you want to share over email. If we do need to kind of determine who you are to make sure that we're looking at the same file, we could use a net ID. So if in email we need to make sure that we're talking or we're working with the correct file, we will ask you for your net ID, but we will never ask you for your UTD ID. The last thing is that I want to mention is that we do have a page dedicated for registration information. So please take some time to check it out. It's going to have a lot of details on items that I covered today, but a lot more information about, the academic calendar, the full link so that you can see the full page, the catalog, a link to the catalog, how to search for classes. We've added some videos on there that hopefully will help you figure out how you can search for classes. So I hope that you find that page very useful. I hope that you found the information that I've shared with you today very useful. But of course, if there's ever a doubt and you need help, please reach out. Please let us know, and we'll definitely be happy to help. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Corina. And I am betting that of our attendees this morning, or actually at this noon hour, that we've got some questions out there. So Norma, do we have some questions in the chat concerning the course modalities, the course schedule, the timing, all of those factors that are really important to our deferred students?
We do. So the first person is interested in taking classes remotely, preferably synchronously or in the evening, but they want to know if they can attend classes remotely for the next 2 semesters, both spring and fall 2021.
Wow, now that's a new question and not one that we've been asked before. So there will be plenty of remote classes for spring of 2021. Now, as we move to summer of 2021 and fall 2021, it's a little bit up in the air. I am sure we're still going to have quite a number of remote classes that are in the summer. But next fall, it's our hope and I guess global expectation that life might return a little bit more to normal, and we'll have many more classes in a traditional face-to-face mode. So I can't make any promises about fall 2021, but I can tell you that we tend to offer quite a lot of online classes. Those are classes with a section number of O, they have a W in them. They also have an additional course fee that goes with those classes that have a W in them as well. But we tend to have a lot of them and have historically. Now that our students have gotten used to this virtual environment, there might be a draw to have more classes in a remote modality, but I can't speak to fall of 2021. So that's sort of an answer, but not quite an answer, Norma. And also, Norma, do you want to talk about what's on the slide here?
Sure. So on the slide, you can see upcoming program webinars that all the different programs will be hosting for incoming students. So be sure to attend those. You would have gotten an invite via email, and you can also see them on the Comet calendar. But if you haven't gotten an email or haven't been invited or don't see them on the Comet calendar, I've also provided an email address for you to reach out to them directly.
Thank you, Norma. I think it's really important when you have questions within your degree program about course differences or questions about electives or questions about concentrations or tracks in your degree program, and you're thinking about, okay, how am I going to leverage this degree in my career and for a new position, a new trajectory of my life. The degree programs are really the best place to get that kind of information. And the program directors that you met at the beginning of this webinar in that video, those are the individuals that are best prepared to handle those types of questions. So do attend these program specific webinars as they're going to be addressing a lot of things about the degree plan, what is a core class versus an elective class. And as Corina mentioned in her presentation, you're always going to want to be mindful of your GPA and what the baseline GPAs are for staying off of probation. You want to keep that in mind as you move forward.
The next question is, how do they identify which course mode the class is offered in? Where would they see that?
Corina, you want to tackle that one?
Yes, I can definitely do that. When you search for your classes, you're going to be able to see different items for each course. So you'll see the name, the topic, the course description. Right below the course description, you're going to be able to see a label that indicates how that course is being taught. So it will say remote or it will say traditional. So it will have an indicator when you pull up the course that you will be able to know exactly how that course is being taught for spring 2021.
Perfect. Thank you, Corina.
The next question is, can we switch between one course mode to another during the semester? I'm assuming they mean during the semester. Also, is the mode of the course modes going for this semester alone, or will it also apply to next semester?
So the course modes that you see on the spring 2021 course schedule, those are the modes for just this spring. Every time a new schedule comes out for a new semester, you will see different modes on there. So what you see when you go to do your spring 2021 registration are the modes just for spring 2021. Now, with regard to the front half of your question, can you change modes? Once you are in a class, you can always go to asynchronous as an option. So let's say, for example, you are in a face-to-face hybrid class. Again, that is a class that is part of the time online, part of the time face-to-face. At any time during the semester, you can choose to attend asynchronously, which means that you will go into e-learning, you will go into that particular course in e-learning. E-learning is our platform where you go to get virtual class information, and you'll have to pull down and watch the link for the recording for that class. So you can at any time decide to go asynchronous, but you can't necessarily decide to change a class from face-to-face to remote. You can't make that change, but you can always make the choice to decide to attend that course in an asynchronous capacity. Now, if you signed up to attend a class and you have told the faculty member that you're going to be attending asynchronously the whole semester, but you decide life settles down and you want to be face-to-face, you need to notify the professor that you plan to come to class, if it is in one of those modes where face-to-face is part of the configuration.
Once they register, can they continue to change their schedule, like add or drop classes as long as registration is open?
They absolutely can, as long as registration is open through the drop add period. The thing that you need to be careful of is that there is a different refund schedule as to when you drop classes. So if you drop something and you add it, then it's kind of a wash. But if you drop a class and you don't add another one, the refund on that particular class is going to be based on the refund schedule. So you really need to look at the academic calendar. There's a refund schedule that's listed on the academic calendar, and you want to make sure that you understand when do you get 100%, when do you get less than 100% of tuition back.
Perfect. Will there be any tutoring services for online students?
So we have a lot of support for our students. So it kind of depends upon the class that you're in. Many of the classes have teaching assistants, and those teaching assistants will help go over class material that you don't understand. But we also have a math lab and an Excel lab and an accounting lab and a business communications writing center. All of those things are available in a virtual environment as well. But in terms of having a one-on-one person that will tutor you through the whole semester, that is something that we only provide in a lab setting, and you can't get that one-on-one tutoring instruction. You need to find an individual tutor who can help you. These are more group and public access assistance.
Will I be assigned an academic advisor to consult before registering for classes?
So that's a really good question. So every student is assigned to an advisor. In the graduate side of the house, you're assigned to an advisor based on the first letter of your last name. But there are a few things that I would coach you on. Number one, as a graduate student, you want to own your own academic journey. So that's why it is so important that you go to these program webinars that you see on the screen and really learn from your instructors. What are the course prerequisites? What are the classes that are required? What are the things that I get to choose? What are the concentrations that I get to choose? Because they can help you with understanding the degree program. The advisor that you get through Corina's operation is somebody that can help you with a registration issue. They aren't necessarily the individual that's going to go over this class versus that class and the difference in the description. That is something that the degree program does. So you're going to want to make sure to ask those questions of the degree program prior to the time that you get ready to register. But when you have any problems with registration, whether it's a hold that's on your account or whether it's a complication that's unique to you. The advisors are available to help you, and you can always connect with one by sending an email to jsom, JSOMGR, advising@utdallas.edu. That's jsom, JSOMGR, advising@utdallas.edu.
Perfect. And I went ahead and put that email address in the chat for those people that might need to contact our advising office. And then you can also see your program specific emails on the screen right now if you do need that as well. Will I be able to enroll in classes by myself, or do I need an advisor to register me in the classes?
You can enroll yourself. Unless there's something particular about a class that you're enrolling in that you aren't eligible, like you haven't met a prerequisite, you can't do that. But yes, you can enroll yourself by following the process that Corina outlined earlier in this presentation. And by the way, you guys, this is going to be recorded. This is being recorded. So we're going to be sending you a copy of this webinar so that you can go back and re-watch it to seek guidance or explanations for the how-to part.
That looks like all the questions we have.
Wow, well, that's really terrific. Well, I want to thank Corina for her time today and kind of explaining the registration process. We want to encourage all of you to just be in touch with us if there's something that we can do to help. We really want to provide our students with really clear directions on how they do things. Sometimes academic institutions can look a little bureaucratic and you get a little bit overwhelmed by the how-to. But watch the webinar again. We're going to send you that link. Be in touch with us either through email, JSOMGR advising, or you can send a generic question to jindal@utdallas.edu. So I want to thank Corina and her team for being here today at the noon hour. And Norma, always thank you for what you do on the backside of keeping us on time and in production. So we thank you. And if we can be of any help to any of you, please let us know. Reach out. Be in touch with us. We really look forward to getting to meet you face to face and actually seeing your whole face without a mask on. So if we can help in some way, please let us know.